Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you how to make your first map in Counter-Strike Source. And here we go. So the first thing you're going to want to do is obviously open Steam. Um, Not every game comes with Source SDK, so to check that you have it, go to the Tools tab and then look for it. I already have it installed, but if you have it there, just install it, pause the video for now, and then come back. Now, when you launch Source SDK, it's going to come up with this menu right here. I already have it launched because I don't want to bore you by making you watch that. So, what we're going to do is hit Source Engine 2009 under Engine version, and then go to Counter-Strike Source under Current Game. There are also all kinds of other games like Portal, Team Fortress, Half-Life. They're all basically, they follow the same formula. So if you know how to map for Counter-Strike Source, you'll know how to map for Half-Life 2. There are just slight differences. So even if you're not planning on mapping for Counter-Strike Source, I'm sure you could learn a lot from this video. So we're going to click on Counter-Strike Source, and we're going to double click on Hammer Editor, which is Source's map editor. And we're just going to make a simple map just to get you started, and then I will make more videos for more complex things and more specific things. So we're going to go to File and then New, and you're going to notice 4 windows. This is a 3D window. This shows a 3D view of the world as if you were playing. It's very helpful for seeing how your level's going. This is the top-down view. It shows your level from a bird's eye perspective, basically. This is the side view. It shows it from the side. I'll show you exactly what that means in a second. It's difficult to put into words. And this is also a side view, but from a different angle. Once again, I'll show you what that means in a second. So the first thing we're going to do is click on the block tool, which is this little gray block. So we click on it, and what we're going to do is go over here to our top-down view, and we're going to left click and drag. And we're going to make a box that's, mine's going to be 512 by 512 units. So I'll let go, and you'll notice in the 3D view that there's stuff now in the view. So to look at that, what we're going to do is put our mouse over it, hold down the space bar, hold down the left mouse button, and you're going to notice that we can look around now. And then we simply use W, A, S, and D, which is the standard movement keys for Counter-Strike. I'm sure you already knew that, to fly around the level and look at it. So hit enter, and your block will be created. Now for future references, these squares and basically anything that's a wall or a floor, anything like that, anything solid, are called brushes. So that's helpful to know. So I told you a second ago I'd explain in more detail what these other side views mean. Now you'll notice if I fly above the level, I'm looking at it top down. That's the perspective in this grid, is top down. But the perspective in these grids is from the side, like this. So you'll notice that this in the 3D view looks like this and this. There's slight differences between these two grids, but you don't really need to worry about that. So what you're going to do is, just put the 3D view somewhere comfortable. You're going to hit the selection tool, which is the top button on your toolbar. It looks like a mouse pointer key. And then you're going to hold shift and drag this block up on the side view like this. And then once it's tall enough, like I recommend this tall, you're going to let go. Now what that just did is it copied the floor above the floor. So what this is actually going to do is it's going to be our ceiling. So now we have to make walls, obviously, otherwise you could just fall out of the map into the void, which is all this black space. It's basically infinite nothingness. You don't want your level exposed to the void at all because it causes performance issues. So basically you don't want to have a giant leak in a room like this into the void. That's bad. So to make walls, the first thing we're going to do is press the block tool, and then we're going to zoom in on the side view by using the mouse wheel. So we're going to get in closer, and then we're going to hold down the space bar, and we're going to hold down left click, and we can move this around so that it's nice and centered. So then what we're going to do is we're going to drag the block like this, and you'll see that'll make a wall. So we press enter, go to the selection tool again, and then we shift click and drag this wall to the other side, and now we have half of the walls done. So we press the block tool again, and we zoom in on the room in a bird's eye view, and then we're going to make walls like this, and you'll see there's the wall. Press enter, bam, and then we drag it to the other side. Once again, you shift click and then hold down the left mouse button and drag it, and then you let go and it copies. So there's our complete room. It's completely sealed off from the blackness outside, which is once again called the void, which is a good thing. And that's basically it for your basic room. So we're going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to save this file as tutorial. Now this file alone will not run in Counter-Strike Source. We're going to do some more things first, and then I'm going to show you how to run it in Counter-Strike Source. So we're going to hit the Entity tool, which is above the block tool. It looks like a light bulb. And then over here you'll see categories, entities, just leave it as it is, and then objects. It should say info player terrorist, but it depends on what you're playing. So this is actually a terrorist spawn point. So what we're going to do to add the spawn point is we're going to move our view around to say like the center of the room. We're just going to click, and then bam, that's now a spawn point for a terrorist. So we obviously want some counter terrorists, that way the terrorists don't get bored. So we're going to type in info underscore player and then counter terrorist. You see right here is right there. So then you move your 3D view again to where you want them to be, and then you click anywhere and it'll spawn a counter terrorist spawn point. So that's it for spawns. Let's save that. The next thing we're going to do is add some light to our map, which is pretty important. So we're going to go back to the Entity tool, and under Objects we're just going to type light. That's it. There are all kinds of lights like light dynamic, environment, spot, all these. Don't use those. Those are, I'll explain those in a later tutorial. Just use regular light. So click on that, and then click on the ceiling. And then, by the way, you can adjust, by double clicking on it, you can adjust the brightness and the color. So if I want this to be a red light, I just change this so it's red, like that. Hit OK, hit apply, and you'll notice the light is now red. So obviously, in game, that light is going to have no source. So basically, that light's going to be coming from the middle of nowhere. Like there's no reason for that light to be there, and that doesn't make any sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a light bulb. That way, it's more realistic. So we go back to the Entity tool, and under Objects we type prop underscore static. Now there are two types of props. There's static props and there's physics props. An example of a static prop would be like a light bulb or a tree, basically anything that you don't want to move. And then a physics prop would be like, I don't know, a gun that you can pick up and run around with, or a box that you can hit and move, stuff like that. But since we don't want our light bulb to be like shot off the ceiling, we're going to click on the ceiling, and you're going to notice that there's a red box. What we're going to do to make it look like a light bulb is we're going to double click on it. We're going to go to World Model. We're going to hit Browse. And then this might take a while to open if it's your first time using Hammer, because the game, or rather Hammer, has to get all the model files from the game. So if it doesn't come up to this menu right off the bat, don't panic, just be patient. And under Filter, we're going to type Light. And then we're just going to look through here to find a nice light. I don't really know what I want mine to look like. I'll just look around for a second. Light bulb. These are some light bulbs right here. I like this one. If you hold the left mouse button and move your mouse around, you can take a look at the model. It's a nice little light with a wire attached to it. So it's called Lightbulb 01A. We're going to hit OK, hit apply,